All right, we are off and running. It's the New York Giants squad show. Giants are in the Windy City. We'll see how windy it's going to be.
I'm Patricia Trainer, and the Giants say they've got to be better, but can they?
I'm Mark Collins, two-time Super Bowl champion. How many wins now will it take for Dable to keep his job?
Let's go, Big Blue. It's the New York Giants squad. Everything New York Giants every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the G-Men. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. The Giants Squad Show starts now.
All right, we are back. And of course, it is the New York Giants squad show alongside Patricia and Mark. My name is Jay. Of course, we have a big Week 10 preview on the way. Of course, the Giants are in Chicago to face the Bears. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Patricia, we lead off with you. Obviously, once again, we are picking up the pieces after a bad loss. Amazing how this just doesn't get old, I guess.
This is amazing, is right. I mean, this is a cycle that just doesn't seem to break. And it's the same thing week after week after week. You know, we hear from the players, you know, we could play better, we could coach better, we can execute better. All right, do it. Why haven't you done it? Well, I happen to think maybe they don't know how. Maybe it's just a lost cause at this point. And what we have seen is what we're going to see the rest of the year. I hope I'm wrong. But, you know, when you say I've got to be better, usually you kind of see the effort. And I do believe the players are making an effort, but I don't know that they have an idea how to fix this.
Interesting. Mark, your thoughts as we, again, pick up the pieces.
Yeah, you know how. It's just going about doing it. There may be a sense of some of the players check out, and that's sad to say. That's what I see. And I say that because the effort that I'm seeing on one side of the ball, the defensive side, is totally unacceptable. You're not tackling, you're not wrapping up, you're out of position. That tells me that either they're not buying into what the coaches are telling them, and they're not executing, and some of the players have checked out, and that's bad. And once you start seeing stuff like that, you see plays like the plays we've seen on the defensive side. You see that stuff happening. So I don't know what else to say about that. Now, I'm not one to throw a lot of players under the bus, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be said. And we can't blame it you can't put all that on the coaches.
It's interesting, and we'll get into the coaches, Dable, and obviously Shane Bowen, and obviously the general manager, Joe Shane. We'll get into all of it. But again, this came at a very interesting time because I think, or at least most people, wanted a trade, and that didn't happen at the deadline on Tuesday. So, Patricia, what were your thoughts when we realized after the deadline that the Giants didn't make a move?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest with you. I mean, they don't have the assets to part with, you know, a rental. You know, they're 2-7, so it's not like they're one player away from turning it around. This coaching staff, we don't know if this coaching staff is going to be back next year, which I suspect they won't be. So why trade away assets and further, you know, put a crimp in what you can do next year? I mean, the salary cap's another issue. Right now, it's a mess for next year. So there were a lot of factors. Now, from what I understand, Joe Shane did make some calls. He did make some inquiries, but there just wasn't anything there. And, you know, at the end of the day, you got to be smart about this. And if you're going to go in a different direction with the coaching staff, which, again, it looks like is going to be the case, why would you want to put that new staff at a disadvantage?
Obviously, it's an interesting time for the players. Mark, what was your reaction after Tuesday?
I wasn't surprised. I mean, as far as the Giants not making a move, I mean, they have nothing of trade value from the get-go. With the salary cap and all this other stuff, they're going to ride with the players that got them to this point. You're 2-7, right? You might as well ride this train all the way through to the last stop. There's no need of trying to unload salaries, doing what we're taking anyway. There's nothing there. So you might as well just ride the train all the way through to the end of the season, and we'll see what happens. If coaching staff comes back, if the GM comes back, we got to wait this out. We got to ride it all out to see what happens, and that's what the Giants are doing.
All right, we will get back to Mark in just a second. Obviously, having some audio difficulties there, and he'll be right back up. But again, Patricia, it was an interesting week. Obviously, it started with San Francisco, the loss, then the trade deadline. As we said, picking up the pieces is a big task.
It really is. I mean, look, I say it every week. These players put their heart and soul into preparing. You put their bodies on the line. And when you constantly come up empty, you got to wonder what that does to their thinking. It gets to the point where, why am I bothering? I've got nothing to show for it at the end of the day. Why am I bothering? And that's what the coaching staff has to guard against seeping into the locker room. And I fear that that's already happened.
It's interesting because we alluded to several players, and Mark, you said it, so I won't put words in your mouth, but obviously there are some players that have checked out. It's on the video. We don't even have to hide it. It's there. So again, this could be crumbling.
Yeah, it's well documented. And everybody says it. I know when I played, the term is the eye in the sky don't lie. I mean, no matter what a former player, a current player, a coach says about a player, whether positive or negative, they can always go to the videotape. And that tape talks, sometimes without words. So we saw it. We're going to rehash the Carl Banks comments against Dexter Lawrence. We've seen that. And we talked about the secondary play of Banks and others. We've seen that. That eye in the sky is not lying. On a particular play, Dexter wasn't double teamed. The guy walks right into the end zone. There was no effort there. We saw the feeble attempt to tackle what Banks tried to make on the running back. That was embarrassing. That effort wasn't there. That eye in the sky didn't lie. So, and that's some other players. And the camera sees it. So that's why I go with the effort. There's a tremendous amount of pride that you should have when you put on an NFL uniform. And there are few teams in any major sport that sense of pride shows even more. One being the Yankees, one being the Boston Celtics, and the others being the New York Giants. When you put on a uniform with those traditional organizations, uniform with those that kind of clamor and all the history that brings, that pride should go with you. I haven't seen that over the last few years in New York with the Giants. And I don't think those players understand what that means. So then you get the players that you get. So it's amazing.
I think not everybody, but there were a lot of people clamoring for a receiver for Dart. Now, Dart's not going to say he's disappointed he didn't get a receiver. He's just not going to do that. That being said, Patricia, do you think he's upset he didn't get a receiver?
Well, if he is, he's like you said, he's doing a really good job of hiding it. I think Jackson Dart, from what I know of him, he's the type of kid who's going to put it all on his shoulders, and he's going to say, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to make this right. Even though it takes, the other 10 guys on offense and the 11 guys on special teams and the 11 on defense to make it right, Jackson Dart is the type, he hates to lose. He's made that very clear. And, it's like, okay, this is what I've got to work with. I'm going to make the most of it. And that's, one of the things I like about him. He could easily say, oh, I don't have Malik. I don't have Cam. I didn't get a receiver. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. No, he's like, no, I'm in control. I'm in charge here. I'm going to do my part to fix this.
That being said, he was the offensive rookie of the month. And I think we were pleasantly surprised by that. That being said, they only won 2 games while he was the starting quarterback. But again, that being said, Mark, offensive rookie of the month. That is impressive considering it was the first month he'd ever played.
Sure, it was great. I mean, I said, we've all said this before. I'll speak for myself. He's proven that he's the guy for the Giants. And his play, his attitude, his tenacity won me over week 2 when he started. So I get it. And to piggyback on what Patricia said about him putting the onus on him to win, to compete, and to get the job done. I agree. But I would also say this. He's in no position, no matter how great he plays, he's in no position to go and say, oh, get me a receiver, give me this, give me that, because he really doesn't know what he wants or what he needs right now. Give him a year or two, then you start seeing him put him like a Mahomes or a guy like that. Hey, I need this piece, I need that piece of the puzzle to make it work. He's not in that position yet to ask. He's going out there to do what he can to win, and so far he's doing a damn good job.
All right, so what are the expectations from the offense this week? Now, we're going to get to the weather because it's going to be an issue in Chicago. But Patricia, obviously no Malik, no Cam. Is it no problem for Jackson Dart, or are we going to struggle?
I fear maybe there's going to be some struggles. Now, this is kind of interesting because I was having this conversation with a colleague of mine about the weather element. The Giants, as people know, MetLife Stadium, just like Giant Stadium before it, is a wind tunnel. It is very unpredictable. The winds swirl around. And I was having this discussion with a colleague, and I said, why don't they have one practice a week, especially right now with the weather turning? Why don't they go into the stadium and work with the wind and get used to the wind so that if that shows up, they're prepared for it? Now, I have seen Jackson Dart after practice on a windy day where he'll stay and he'll throw some extra passes with the wind and without against the wind, which is good. But, it's just the more you can prepare for the little elements that might pop up, better that you're prepared and you don't need to use them than you go in and you say, oh my God, now we've got this bad weather coming up, because, weather, it can affect what you do. And as far as, the game plan is concerned, I suspect, hopefully the Giants will have Daniel Bellinger back. So hopefully they will go back to more 12 personnel in this game and keep the Bears defense in its base. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one, because if the weather is bad, you're probably going to have to run the ball a lot more than you will if you're passing it.
That was my next question, and it's for Mark. My fear is 150 Jackson Dart runs right up the middle, and there's no way he survives that in bad weather. I'm worried about that. I don't want him running the ball unnecessarily. Obviously, they're going to have to lean on the run game if it's real bad weather.
Well, you gotta play with the cards that's dealt. I mean, nothing's going to miraculously change from last week. The offense is what the offense is. Well, I don't care if it's 100 degrees or 4 degrees. That's going to be your offense, right? So you're going to run your quarterback, you're going to run with the trace of the back or whatever. You're going to do what you can to do. Now, as far as simulating the weather, hell, you can't simulate snow if you don't have snow to practice in. It is what it is. So, the offense, it's not going to be any different than it was last week or the week before, because the pieces are in play that are there. It's going to come down to pretty much basically this. Will the Giants not turn the ball over? Can the defense get some stops or some turnovers? Can the Giants on offense steal a big play by throwing it deep? Something like that. You're going to have to steal a play or two. But if you can't do it, they can't do it. What you seen last week, it's going to be the same crap you're going to get this week. And I don't care what the weather is. That's what you're going to get.
All right, good stuff. We'll focus in on that defense next as we take our first break of the show. All right, we'll start by telling you that, the saying, look good, feel good. Well, the problem is that most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. They look sharp, but feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. That's why there's Mizzen and Main. Mizzen and Main makes classic menswear with performance fabrics, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and they've perfected it ever since. Their shirts are stretchy, moisture wicking, wrinkle resistant, and machine washable. No ironing, no dry cleaning. I love that you can go from the office to dinner or even out on the golf course and still feel comfortable all day. It's the feel of athletic wear, but the look of professional menswear. Right now, Mizzen and Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com with promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen, spelled Mizzen, and Main, MAIN.com. Mizzenandmain.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen and Main stores in select states. All right, we are back and we are ready to focus in on Shane Bowen's defense. We do this it's amazing. And we're doing it again. He's got a job, but I think we all agree, Patricia, he shouldn't.
He's a really nice man. He's a gentleman. That's really the best I can say about Shane Bowen. I mean, look, Shane Bowen, I had this question when he was initially hired. I wondered how much of the success he had in Tennessee was his doing versus running the system that Mike Vrabel brought in. I think that's a legitimate question, and kind of based on what we're seeing, I think we know the answer now. I mean, now you look at the talent that they brought in. This should be a top 15 defense, hands down. All right. Basically, the defense has been healthy for the most part. They've had some injuries in the back end, but they're going to get a couple of guys back this week, it looks like. But they have been healthy up front, the front seven. And we're just not seeing what we need to see. I mean, the run fits are bad. The pass rush isn't being allowed to really flourish because of the problems with the run defense. And I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't think it's the effort, because I think I see effort coming from the guys up front, but something's not clicking there. I don't know what the answer is at this point. I got to think, it's got to be the coaching, because if you've got top 15, can you imagine? I mean, Mark is going to probably kill me for saying this, but if Shane Bowen were coordinating the great defenses of the 1980s that Mark was a part of, would they have had the same success with the schemes and stuff that he runs? I mean, probably, because they have, effort guys, but my goodness, I've never seen anything like this before. And it's a mess. It's hurting the team.
Defense isn't hard. Defense is effort. If a coach, Shane Bowen as an example, if he called just 2 coverages and 2 fronts and let those players do what they do based on all the analytics that the players they brought in that they know they can do, if he just did that and let the players play, I think you will see production. Now, when I say that, I don't know if he's doing that, and I don't know what they call, whatever. So the effort that I see is not consistent. Overall defense, that is. The play calling is not consistent. And if you don't have those 2 meeting, you're not going to get great production. So, hell, I don't know if does he keep his job? Yes or no? That's debatable. If you fired him, who are you going to replace him with? Number one. Number two, the scheme isn't going to change. So you might as well let the damn thing ride itself out. It's just bad when you see the players they brought in, and I know injury's been a part of it, and not getting the maximum production out of it. Those players, hell, as playing for Belichick and some other great defensive coordinators, just call 2 or 3 coverages and 2 or 3 fronts. Let them play. Let them just go, you know what? This is what we're doing. You know what we're in. We're going to beat the hell out of you, and we're just going you're going to feel it. Just give me that. But you're not getting it. So now we're talking about this guy getting fired or losing his job, and that in itself that's bad in itself.
All right, let's do Dex. And Patricia, you were right from the beginning. You were all over this. We've discussed Dex almost every single show, preview and game day. And I've been waiting this entire time for the Dex game. and it hasn't come. I'm still curious if it comes. What is up, Patricia?
I really don't know. I mean, I would have thought maybe the elbow was still an issue, but he says it's not. So I have to take his word for it because obviously he knows how he feels. I questioned in the beginning of the season, was he in shape? He did not look to be, but by now he should be, you would think. Is it the guys around him? Look, he's drawing a lot of double teams and triple teams. You go back and you look at his film from last year. Where did most of his sacks come from? Against single coverage. But he's not even beating that on a regular basis. So I truly don't know what's up with Dex. I mean, does he have some kind of other injury that nobody is mentioning? Is he, what's going on? I wish I had an answer.
You think, Mark, he's disgruntled with the organization? Is that possible? I mean, I'm just trying to figure stuff out here.
No. Listen, milk has an expiration date, right? And you can use that milk maybe 2 days after the expiration date, and then you got poured out. Players are the same way. We all have an expiration date. Maybe Dex has peaked too soon or peaked enough, and now he's on the decline. That can happen as well. That's one. Two, I'm not saying because he got paid that he's checked out, but sometimes that's an option as well. One of the two, because watching that game against San Fran where he wasn't double teamed and they were running the ball right at him, well, one of my teammates, Carl Banks, I know Carl very well, and we all know Carl. Carl knows football better than a lot of people. Carl sees things that a lot of people don't see, and we kind of see the same thing. Carl Banks wasn't wrong by saying what he said in the previous week. You got to be the alpha guy. You got to get it going. You're the guy. You can't check out. You can't start blaming double teams and whatever. That's on you, brother. The plays that I've seen, he wasn't double teamed, and he's not getting to the quarterback. And I'm kind of getting pissed because I read some things that some people say. I don't respond to them. I get sick and tired of people giving this guy excuses, these lanes to get out. And when he got called out on it, he attacked Carl for saying the stating the obvious. I tend to think maybe he peaked. He already reached his peak. And Carl called him out. Hey, listen, you're not being respected. Either A, you do something about it, or get the hell out of the way and let somebody else lead. But as long as you're on that team and wearing that uniform, dude, do your damn job. Stop taking this exit lane to get off the highway and talk about, well, it's this, it's that. I'm being double teamed. Oh, the wind was too strong. Oh, the turf's too hard. Whatever the excuse is, do your damn job. He's not doing it so far.
All right. As for Dex, there's also Brian Burns, who's just been great. 11 sacks, leads the NFL. Most sacks by a Giants player through 9 games since Strahan at this point had 15. That was in 2001, an amazing season, obviously. But again, it's not Dex, it's Brian Burns. He has been great. Everything the Giants could have possibly wanted, Patricia.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, last year he was really, really banged up. I don't know how he got through that season, but he was determined. Sometimes it's mind over matter with guys. And with Brian Burns last year, that was the case. He didn't miss a single snap, and he took pride in that. And Brian Burns this year, still taking pride in it. He's banged up. Some of these injuries that he has, you would say, oh, he should be on the injury report. No, Brian Burns doesn't want any part of that. He cares, and you see it. And, it's a shame that some of that doesn't rub off on some of the other guys that we talked about earlier who maybe are mailing it in a little bit. Because when you see a guy giving all, I mean, that's your brother on your team. That's a brother. And you see your brother giving it his all, and you're sitting there and you're coasting down the highway. That's just not good, in my opinion.
No, you're right. He maybe he can't. Maybe they just can't. And that's what I'm saying. if Brian Burns is playing, he's having an all-pro Pro Bowl season. Those numbers are ridiculous. He's laying it on the line every flip and snap. And playing with guys like that, it should raise your game, especially when you're in the same meeting room watching the same video, same film, same everything. And you can't feed off of that. That's what we did. We fed off each other. That's what good teams do. That's what good players do. They raise the level of other players. And those other players can't raise their game to match that. Again, that tells me two things. Either one, they can't, or two, they check the hell out. And that's where the coaching staff got to see it. Because they watch the same video that we watch. They see it. What are you going to do about it? Now, which feeds back into our first two blocks. Well, they're going to ride this train out and see what happens at the end of the season. And some of those players won't be around.
All right, let's do the injuries. Obviously, they're beat up in the secondary. Patricia, this is not going to be pretty, despite the weather, if the guys in the secondary don't get healthy.
Yeah, I think the good news is they look like they're going to get a couple guys back. It looks like Cordell Flott is in the latter stages of the concussion protocol. I think he'll be good to go. It looks like Javon Holland is going to give it a go. Paulson Adebo's still not there yet, which is a shame because that might mean we have to see more of Deonte Banks on that other cornerback and Flott comes back, which I'm not looking forward to. I mean, Mark, come out of retirement. You play that position, please. But yeah, they're getting a little bit healthier on that side. And then, I mentioned on the other side of the ball, Daniel Bellinger looks like he's going to be okay, which will allow them to go back to that 12 personnel that worked so well for them once Malik Neighbors went down. And, then they got, a couple of other things that they're looking at. John Michael Schmitz is starting center. I don't know that he's going to go. His might be a long-term injury from what I understand, but it's a mix. It's a mix. And, look, you can't blame injuries for performance. I mean, the bottom line, and I made this point on my show that's coming up tomorrow, you've got to have guys in reserve, next man up, who can step in and who are developed and who can hold down the fort. And that's where the Giants lack. They don't, if Andrew Thomas goes down, who do they have that's going to step in, that's going to be able to hold the fort? You're not expecting a clone of Andrew Thomas, but you want somebody to come in and do a capable job. The Giants didn't have that in the defensive secondary, which was a big, big problem, and they got exploited for that.
It's also interesting, and Mark and I discussed this before we came on the air, and that, of course, is the kicking situation, which for some reason we keep discussing, and it's not our fault, it's their fault. I cannot believe we're doing this again, Mark. What are we doing? Gano has a neck. Koo might kick. For some reason, we're still doing this, and I just don't get it.
So, Gano has a neck problem. What was his pillow too hard or something? He has a neck problem. A neck. Man, listen. I don't know why this has happened again. It's just he's milking this team like crazy.
He's got something on them. He's got something on him.
I don't know what the hell's going on. He has a neck problem, so he can't kick, or he might not be able to kick. That's crazy. I don't want to waste too much of our valuable time talking about a goddamn kicker. But damn it, we need him. As other things else, but it's just sad. This is ridiculous.
I'm confused about it too. And this is it's meaningless, but for conversation purposes, how bad has Koo been in warmups that they won't put this guy in? And if he's that bad, why is he on the practice squad?
Good question. I wondered that myself. Now, Dable did say today that if Gano can't go, and by the way, Gano has one job. He doesn't even do kickoffs where he is exposed to tackling guys. All right. Jamie Gillen's been doing that. So, look, like Mark said, what did you do? You woke up on Monday morning because you slept wrong? I don't understand it. I mean, and I don't mean to put down people who have neck injuries, but how did that happen? You were fine the day before, but, as for Koo, Dable did say that would be the guy they would go to. And we don't get to see the entire practice during the week. We only see like the first 20 minutes or so. But Cole, from what I understand, has been kicking well. So I don't understand what the coaches are doing there, to be honest with you.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, let's focus. Let's get away from the kicking because it's painful and it's silly. But we'll do the Bears next after we take our second break of the show. All right, it is time for game time. NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, you know it's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, we are back. Let's focus in on the Bears now. The Bears have actually won 5 of 6. There's been several stages along the way with the Bears, Patricia, where at one point I thought they were pretty good and Caleb was sort of making something of himself. And then there were times where I thought, God, this team stinks. But you know what? They've been better of late.
Yeah, they have, actually. And they've got something to play for. They're jockeying for a playoff position. The Bears, it's interesting. Their offense has been really, really good. I think it's a top 10 offense in every major statistical category. The defensive side, they've had some injuries and some guys that are kind of, banged up or underperforming. So, it's really been a tale of two halves for the Bears. The offense is good. The defense struggling a little bit. But, the good news about it is their defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, it's pretty well known what he does and how you can counter that. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, I would like to see the Giants use a lot more 12 personnel in this game, force the Bears to stay in their base defense, and don't let them get, creative with the coverages and stuff that they run.
Mark, your thoughts on the Bears as we move forward?
I thought 3 weeks ago, looking at when the Giants played the Bears, this was a gettable game for the Giants. But the Bears, especially last week when they played Cincinnati, they can score some points. It looked pretty damn good. So, and they're playing for a playoff spot, trying to contend in that Central Division with Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay. They look pretty formidable. Can they be beat? Yeah, they can. But they're riding in on a pretty good streak, winning 5 of 6, looking pretty good. Caleb looks good. Looks like he's finally getting control of the offense. He's not holding the ball as long as he used to, but they look pretty good. So the Giants got the work cut out for them. Early in the season, I thought this was a gettable game. Not so much now.
100% we circled the Bears trying to find a win. But believe it or not, that division is wide open. That includes last place Minnesota, which is 4-4. Packers are only 5-2-1. Not that the Bears need something to play for, but they've got something to play for, Patricia. They are very much alive.
Absolutely. And when you have something to play for, now the injuries don't hurt as much. You're not as sore. You're more locked in. You're not nailing the efforts in. So yeah, and not to mention they're on their home field. They're used to the elements out there. Maybe for some of the Giant players, that's going to be a bit of a shock to get used to. But absolutely, this is a game where, and I agree with Mark. At the start of the season, if you had said to me, win or lose, I would have put this down as a Giants win. I'm not putting it down as a Giants win because I just, for the rest of the year, until I see otherwise, I can't pick the Giants to win a game.
Agreed. By the way, the Bears scored on 10 of their 12 possessions versus the Bengals. So that being said, despite the weather, again, I know we keep throwing that caveat in there. The Giants, Mark, their defense has their work cut out for them.
Of course. I mean, every week, ever since the Chargers game, when the Giants rolled into MetLife with they were 30th against a run, and they gave up those big runs to the Chargers. Everybody's been attacking that defensive left side on that run when they run the ball. San Fran did it. Every team did it. Don't be surprised if Chicago do the same damn thing. If you can't stop the run, I don't care if you had 3 Deion Sanders and 2 Ronnie Lotts in the secondary. It doesn't matter. You better stop the run. Chicago's going to do the same damn thing. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to expose the secondary with play action, and probably be very successful. The Giants defense, they don't know how. Shane Bowen does not know how to call a great game plan other than the one he did against Philadelphia and against the Chargers. He has no consistency of putting together back-to-back defensive game plans. Now, I can see that. And every former player who played on good damn defenses can see that. Don't you think the opposing offensive coordinators can see that too? And this is a copycat league. Hey, guess what? They can't stop the run, especially on the defensive left side. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to attack that side. And until they stop it, don't be surprised you don't see it from the Bears.
Obviously, behind Caleb and Ben Johnson, the Bears offense got real good, and it's not a surprise because he's a good coach. That being said, the Giants need to slow down Caleb Williams somehow. To be fair, I haven't watched every snap of his entire season, but there's been good and bad. Not sure really what you're going to get. Patricia?
Yeah, I mean, as with any quarterback, you got to pressure him. You got to make him uncomfortable. That's item number one. The question is how do you do it? And the Giants got the guys who can do it, but can they do it consistently? That's obviously step number one. The other thing, and this is something Bowen doesn't do a lot of, I don't think he's done much of it all, come to think of it, you got to fool him. You know, Caleb Williams is still a young quarterback. You can't just go out there and play straight up. You got to fool him a little bit, you know, disguise some coverages, do some funky things, throw some stunts at him, excuse me, do some, you know, fancy things to get Caleb Williams off his comfort level. And the Giants defense just doesn't do that under Bowen.
Mark?
He doesn't have the personnel, Patricia. He doesn't. He doesn't have the personnel to hold up on the back end. That's why I said earlier, give me 2 base coverages. Give me cover 2, a cover 4, or a cover 2 or 2. Give me something so these guys can play. Yeah, Caleb is a young quarterback still, but he's still hella talented. And in this league, you're not going to trick too many players. You're not. You're just not going to do it. So give me some players who know base coverages and play them. I want to see all our effort from my defense. Just doing, hey, with the Giants, on the Belichick and Parcells, we had stack, cover 2, base cover 2 defense. Then we had over or under man. 2 damn coverages. And we whooped ass. That's all I'm saying. You're not going to fool a lot of quarterbacks. You're not. The league now, these quarterbacks now, the NFL has morphed into the top-ranked SEC schools or Big Ten schools. That's what the offense is. It's all RPOs, which is cool. That's where we're at now. So you're not going to trick too many quarterbacks because these quarterbacks now, they know how to make adjustments. So you might as well run, give me 2 defenses, let these, especially when you're hurt on the back end, like the Giants, let these guys be comfortable in their coverages, in their zones, and play. That's what I expect. Will we see it? I don't know, because that's just the way it is. So you're not, Shane Bowen he's not going to call any defenses where he's going to try to send a safety on a safety blitz. Or they don't have the personnel to hold up on the back end for that. Let these guys play and see what you get.
Mark, let me just ask you one thing about this, because you're the perfect person to ask in regards to the 80s and 90s Giants versus Bears and the rivalry that it has been. The Bears lead the series 36-25-2. They played 63 times. How big or how much do players care about the rivalry, despite the fact that they weren't there in the 80s and 90s?
Well, as I said before, it doesn't mean squat if you're not winning. It's only a rivalry when you win, and both got to be winning on a consistent level. The Giants haven't been relevant for years, so most of those guys won't even care about the rivalry because speaking of the Giants, mostly haven't done squat over the last 10 years. So
neither of the Bears.
Well, yeah. So who cares? It's like comparing two junior varsities teams. No one gives a crap about that. Now, if both were winning, oh yeah, okay. Then the history has something to do with it. But this would be a great game for us. That's about it. But no, the young guys, they're not really focusing on that.
Mark, I haven't forgotten about the playoff game in '85, which I was young, but that was an amazing day, and I'll never forget it. And I wish that I could forget it.
Well, I wasn't there, so
I
was going to my senior year in college. I was done, but the year after that, '86,
much better.
Yeah, because
that carried over. That carried over.
Yeah.
Harry Carson told me, he said, we didn't forget that. And I'm sure they made that point to you guys several times.
Oh, sure. And that was one of the things when that '86 draft class came in. And I was back in New York. We did a deal with Phil Simms, O.J. Anderson, Carl Banks, and Bob Papa. And we talked about a lot of that stuff. So when I came in '86, I had to raise my level of game to match those guys who were there that year before. And in that locker room, in that training camp, that was mentioned. So even though I had nothing to do with it, my level of play had to rise to that level to either be a part of it, and I think I did pretty well. I was a starter for 9 or 10 games on that defense. So I had to raise my level of play. So yeah, that was instrumental in our success to win a championship.
All right, we will take one final break. We've talked about this NFC stretch. It's technically an NFC North stretch now because, of course, we have Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit in consecutive weeks. We'll dive into that coming up next. All right, let's tell you about Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing Prize Picks lately, and it's such a fun way to stay locked in for the season. It's quick, it's easy, and honestly, my favorite way to follow along with football. I love checking projections like Josh Allen for more or less than 270 yards passing, or Saquon Barkley for more or less than 1 rushing score. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDON NFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, we are back. Final 15 of the show. As we said, it's the NFC stretch. Patricia, we'll start with you. As we said, Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit before we see New England. If we extend it back even further, it was Philadelphia, San Francisco, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit. We've talked about it multiple times. A huge NFC stretch for the Giants.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's been mostly a fruitless one.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, on a past show, these are the games you got to win. I mean, you got to win them all. Don't get me wrong, but the division games, the conference games, that's what's going to help sort out who's going home at the end of the year and who's going on. And the Giants just they haven't done well. I mean, think about it. They're 2 wins. One's against the Chargers, an AFC team, and one against the Eagles. So, it's funny. People say, well, could the Giants theoretically turn it around now that we're in the back half of the season? They got a long, long way to go to turn this thing around. They are in a deep hole. I don't know that they can come out of it, to be honest with you.
It's really interesting because, as Patricia said, Mark, this was a good opportunity to not only win games, but get back into the NFC race. And obviously that's all gone now.
Well, yeah, they messed that up 2 weeks ago. Okay. Well, really 3. Lost 3 in a row. Lost to Denver, Philly, and then San Fran. The two NFC games really hurt. So now you're playing for pride. You're playing for your job. And you're playing for some kind of respectability, hopefully, so you want to embarrass your family. Because this has potential. Follow me on this. This has the potential to go from worse to really detrimental. And what I mean by that is sometimes it's not how you lose or you losing, it's how you lose. They lose this game in a embarrassing way, and then the next game in a more embarrassing way. You may see a coach get fired on the spot. And this stretch that they're in is leaning towards that, because if you don't see players rise to the occasion by playing with pride and respect for the organization and for their family or for their whatever, this can get bad, real ugly real fast. And you'll see a coach may get fired probably mid-flight from Chicago back to Newark if it gets bad like that.
I wonder about this, and I hate bringing it up because it's sad, but it's a fact. John Mara is sick. He's a sick man. I wonder how much that has to do or plays into the fact about firing a coach. To be honest, Patricia, if there was ever going to be a time this year to fire a coach, it would have been after Denver. So part of me thinks it's not going to happen. But again, what Mark said, if this continuously gets worse, maybe Mr. Mara, pulls the trigger.
Yeah, first off, best wishes to Mr.
Sure.
Mara. I dealt with cancer. I don't know what cancer he had. I know what I had. And those treatments really knock the stuffing out of you. The last thing you need is stress. And Mr. Mara, people are going to slam me for this, but he really does take these losses to heart. I've seen him after a game when he's looked, like he's just lost his best friend. That being said, I don't know that firing somebody at this point is going to do anything. I mean, you're basically giving the fan base a pound of flesh, but is it really going to change anything at the end of the day? The roster is what it is. The systems are what they are. The play, what can it possibly change in terms of the large scale? Maybe a philosophy here and there will change, but is it going to be enough of a change to make a big difference? And, the thing when you're sick with cancer and you're going through the cancer treatments, the last thing you want to be thinking of is making a huge change in your life or your business or anything like that. You kind of want to take it easy. So I don't know. I mean, would John Mara make that move? I don't know that he would. I think maybe he rides it out the rest of the year and just, because what's done is done. It's not like it's going to really change anything. It's not going to suddenly turn the pumpkin into Cinderella's coach.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 80% what you said, Patricia. But here's the 20% where I'm coming from. When the stuff hits the fan and it becomes embarrassing, and no owner, no coach wants its business to look like total garbage and total chaos. They don't. And even if for that 15 minutes of relief to say, you know what, I got to do this just so I can show my fan base that I give a damn, because this is not good. No organization wants that embarrassment. And even for that 15 minutes of feel good, to some, it's working. Because some of the fans are going, man, not again. That, even for fans, it builds. And they want something. They want that pound of flesh, that 15 minutes of feel good. That's what they want. And sometimes you got to give them what they want. Even George Steinbrenner did a couple of times, find Billy Martin. I mean, hey, sometimes you got to do it. You don't want to do it, but the embarrassment, it takes its toll. Will anything change? No. But damn, that 15 minutes of feel good, to some people it's worth it. And then you can focus on next year. And sometimes that does spark energy for some of the players. It could. It could. I've seen it. I went through it. It could.
Interesting. The Giants have 4 games before their bye. Obviously, it starts with Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, New England. 3 of those are on the road. So it seems like, Patricia, maybe a race to get to week 14 bye, but they got 3 road games, all difficult spots.
Yeah, I mean, the bye week can't come fast enough as far as I'm concerned. I can just imagine how they feel in the building. But yeah, I mean, look, the Giants this year on the road, they've been dominated. They've been, and I go back to the 2017. They were road warriors. They knew how to win. When you're on the road, and Mark, you could probably, attest to this. You don't have the distractions you maybe have at home. You don't have, your wife or your girlfriend telling you to take out the garbage, walk the dog or whatever. You're with your teammates. There's really nothing to do except bond with your teammates and or study your playbook. Like I know when I go on the road and I travel, I probably do some of my best work there because I don't have the things going on at home to get in the way of, hey, what's for dinner or anything like that. So I'm kind of surprised that the Giants have not been a little bit better on the road than at home, where again there's more distractions.
Yeah, usually the focus is there on road trips because there's no outside entities messing with you. So there are distractions everywhere you go. To be honest with you, especially now, because everything we go out now, everything's on video or whatever. So distractions there. But usually road trips are easier to focus because it's just you and the teammates, and you can rally the troops to one common goal. I don't know what's going on with this year's team. The focus is not there. And if the focus isn't there, we could put that on the players, but we got to put that on the coaching staff. Whatever they're doing, it's not working. So do they change it? Make it you travel, go watch a movie with the team. I don't know what it is, but something's got to change and they're not doing it. And that's what you're getting, what you get on the road because the things that need to be done aren't being done.
Interesting. We talk about predictions and lines every week. And I know we do it so stubbornly, but let me just say this. When we put together the rundown for today's show, the number was 3.5. Giants getting 3.5. It's now up to 4.5. Now, I'm not exactly sure when that change took place, but in the last couple of days, it's gone up to 4.5. So obviously, Patricia, Vegas thinks the Bears are going to win.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got the home field advantage, which I think is good for 3 points. I think it's how they work it. And the Giants have a lot of injuries. They are also reeling. There's questions about, will Brian Dable survive? Will Shea Bowen survive? What players are not going to be there? So there's a lot of questions regarding the Giants. And, I know we do predictions and everything like that. But as I said last week, I can't in good faith pick the Giants until I see something change for the better. I mean, it's the same thing week in and week out. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm tired of hearing we got to coach better, we got to play better, we got to look better, we got to do this better. Do it already. And if you don't know how to do it, then just be quiet and figure it out.
Mark.
Yeah. Well, that 1 point swing could be because of Ganel's neck. So,
maybe.
Could be.
I'm just saying, they find out, he had a bad pillow. And so they, I don't know. You're right, Patricia. Until they show some kind of flipping consistency, it's hard to, you're going to get what you get. And I want better effort on the defensive side because offense, God bless them, they've been playing their asses off. They have been. I've seen it. The defense, man, I don't understand it. I don't get it. And even with the two, there has not been a consistent level of play except maybe 2 games, well, maybe a game and a half, that they both played together in special teams as well. But that's not enough. That's why you're 2-7. That's why you're looking the way you're looking. And that's why we're talking the way we talk, because the level of consistency is not there.
Patricia, what kind of game do you expect? That's funny because the number now is 47.5, the over-under. That seems high, especially with bad weather. Now, the Bears can put up points, and Jackson Dart's usually good for 2 or 3 touchdowns every single game, despite who's around him. That being said, I have a feeling it's going to be a lower scoring game. What are your thoughts?
I think it does depend on the weather. It's going to come down to the running game. I mean, really. And the Giants, the last couple games, they've averaged 20 something points, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but the Giants are able to score. The question is can the defense keep the Bears from scoring? And that's where, the game has the potential to get away from them. And, the last few games, the opponent has beaten the Giants by at least 2 scores. So, the weather, look, we talked about it a little earlier in the show. There are things that the Giants can do to get ready for the weather. They can, for example, work with frozen footballs or wet footballs, They can, wet the grass down if they wanted to and simulate the slippery surface that they might be facing. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I think we'll probably see a lower scoring game, but I don't think it'll be that much lower than what the point spread is.
Mark?
I agree. I don't see the Giants scoring. Well, was it 47 you said?
47.5.
You know what? They both could score 27, 23. Yeah, you know what? I see it. I can see that happening simply because both defenses is the bad weather favors offense. They know where they're going, the defensive players don't. There'll be a lot of slippage going on. And if you run the ball, that can bode well with pretty much both. So I kind of like it. I kind of like the plus 47. I like it.
I can't believe we're in moral victory possibility, but let me just say this. Patricia, what do you want to see the most, regardless of result? We all want to win. We know that, and we all know they want to win. But what has to happen, I think, for the Giants to impress you somehow, some way, in some segment of the team?
I want to see effort from every single guy on every single player.
Yep.
I don't think we have seen that the last few weeks. You've seen guys, half bake it. I think of that play where Deontay Banks got trucked by I think it was Brian Robinson.
Yep.
There was another play when Deontay Banks was just kind of jogging alongside of the guy, didn't make an attempt to knock the ball out of his hands or anything. I want to see full effort. And by the way, I don't mean to single out Deontay Banks. Those are the examples that come to mind. I want to see full effort from every single guy on that team. And if short of that, then, I don't know what to tell you.
Mark?
I want to see some emotion, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I want to see some fire. I want to see some, oh no, not today, baby. I want to see some attitude. That's what I want to see. Offense gives us that a little bit. They do. They're not the fire and brimstone type of offense, but defense, I want to see it. And if I don't see it early, I know what it's going to be.
All right. That should do it here on the New York Giants Squad Show. Hopefully, and I say this every week, when we're with you after the game, it's after a win. For Mark and Patricia, I am Jay. It's been wonderful. We'll see you on Sunday.